Sudanese Sufi Figures الشيخ فرح ودتكتوك. Part 2. It is my pleasure to welcome you, dear audience, to our second encounter of our journey with Sudan's man of wisdom, Sheikh Farah ودتكتوك, a figure who occupies a deeply rooted place in Sudanese popular memory for his remarkable wisdom, keen insight, and sayings that have been passed down from one generation to another. In our previous episode, we presented a brief account of the life of the Sheikh during the era of the Point Sultanate, introducing some of the defining features of his character and the impact he had on Sudanese society. Today, however, we meet him from a different perspective, pausing to explore an important dimension of his intellectual and social legacy through a selection of his practical wisdom and advice, guidance he offered to the society in which he lived, and which, despite the passage of time, continues to offer valuable lessons and profound insights for present-day generations. In this episode, we enter the world of Sheikh Farah, accompanied by the distinguished Sudanese scholar, historian, and researcher Muhammad Tayyib. Drawing upon his renowned work, Sheikh Farah ودتكتوك حلال المشبوك, a significant contribution that documented important aspects of the Sheikh's life, sayings, and social engagements. So as you listen, the audience, this is our second encounter with the wise man of Sudan, Sheikh Farah ودتكتوك, and in this encounter, we would like to provide an example of his wisdom, which he runs throughout history. And our source, as I told in this episode, is Muhammad Tayyib, well-known, the reputed Sudanese scholar and historian who devoted a book entitled Sheikh Farah ودتكتوك حلال المشبوك. So I would like to, based on this book, to present samples and examples of Sheikh Farah wisdoms, addressing the difficulties, solving the problems that his generation at that time faced. So the audience, the title حلال المشبوك, the resolver of complexities, stands among the most famous nicknames associated with Sheikh Farah ودتكتوك. It became widely known and circulated throughout Sudanese society as a symbol of wisdom, problem solving, the ability to untangle social and human complexities. Thus, the focus of this episode will be to explore the significance of this title and examine its meanings through practical situations and lived experiences connected to the Sheikh's life and legacy. So Halal al-Majbook, by the way, which a title, as I told, that have been provided by the Sudanese researcher Muhammad Tayyib, and devoted a book, as I told, entitled Sheikh Farah ودتكتوك حلال المشبوك. Muhammad Tayyib shared his view towards this personality when he said, I first heard the name of Sheikh Farah ودتكتوك from my grandmother, We would gather around her every evening to listen to folk riddles, tales, and captivating stories, which she narrated in a dramatic and engaging style. Among the stories she used to tell us was the story of Sheikh ودتكتوك and ودبزهانة. At that time, we imagine Sheikh Farah to be like mythical beings and the Ghul, the Sa'lawa and Fatima of the Red Reeds. This belief remained with me for quite some time until I later came to realize that Sheikh Farah was in fact a real historical figure. Stay with us on this engaging historical journey as we discover together how wisdom became practice, words became lasting influence, and one man became an enduring symbol in Sudanese cultural memory. To the story. It is related through reliable narrators that King Onsa maintained friendly relations with the Shukriya tribe. So I would like to draw your attention, the audience, that the setting place in terms of, or the setting in terms of place and time to the occurrence of this story is back to Foyn Sultanate, Sinnar. That is during the earliest establishment of the state, which in fact, as I have told before, it has been established and founded in the year 1504 and ended in the year 1821. So the events of the story has taken place during that time at that very same place, Sinnar. So it is narrated and related based on reliable sources and narrators that King Onsa, and King Onsa is one of the kings who ruled the country at that time, maintained friendly relations with the Shukriya tribe. On one occasion, they presented him with a magnificent, splendid camel as a gift. The king admired the animal immensely and assigned a group of servants solely to its care. The camel was fed meat, dates, milk, and clarified butter, and was even given a cattle enclosure with abundant water for its use. One evening, while the king sat among his companions drinking wine, their conversation turned to Senates, Sufis, and their miracles. One man spoke of a Senate who could fly through the air, another of one who could walk upon water, a third of one who could transform water into milk. Such tales were common in those days. Suddenly, the king asked, if these holy men can perform all these wonders and miracles, can they teach this animal to read and write? His companions answered in one voice, confidently, certainly. May the king's life be prolonged. They can surely do that. The king then ordered, gather all the Faqirs, Sufis, tomorrow morning. The next morning, several Faqirs, Sufis, arrive at the royal palace, unaware of the reason for their summons. Once assembled, they were ushered before the king, and the chief attendant explained the matter to them. Presenting the camel, he proclaimed, "Behold this splendid creature, shining and noble, O Faqirs, O people of the circle, O you whose faces shine with light, O masters of both the earthbound and the airborne realms. The king asks only a small thing of you. Teach this animal." Then he continued, "And this camel, O people of the circle, is a reddish brown camel, the son of a reddish brown sir. His mother is a free-born Bishari camel, and he is a son of 100. That is, to put it plainly and directly, a camel of noble lineage, descended from the finest stock." One of the Faqirs replied, "May God perpetuate the gallery of the commander of the faithful, defender of truth and religion, and disperser of the ranks of the unbelievers. We ask for 2 days to consider the matter." The attendant, the official, the assistant of the king whispered into the king's ear and then announced, "May God receive the might of the protector of sinner and vanquisher of the wicked enemies. Your request for 2 days is granted. But after that there shall be no excuse and no delay. Drink coffee and recite Al-Fatiha." The first surah in the Quran. When the Faqirs, Sufis, departed, they blamed one another for getting them into such a predicament. At that moment, a quick-witted Faqir exclaimed, "None can save you from this difficulty except Farah ودتكتوك." All agreed up with him. A group immediately set out in search of the Sheikh. They spent the night in Al-Hujayrat at Farah settlement. Before he could even ask why they had come, the most eloquent among them recounted the entire affair, while the others nodded in agreement and evoked God's help. Farah listened and then said, "The matter is extremely simple. I shall undertake this task on your behalf. Let us go immediately." On the appointed day, the Faqirs gathered before the palace, surrounded by disciples carrying prayer rugs, water vessels, and rosaries. A herald called out, "Enter, O Faqirs." After they had taken their seats, the king entered. Greetings were exchanged, and the attendant asked, "Have you returned with the news that will please the king?" The Faqirs replied, "Yes, we have brought Farah ودتكتوك." The attendant said skeptically, "Farah, that Faqir of the cattle herders and nomads? This is a difficult matter. Think carefully." The Faqirs answered, "Farah is trustworthy. We have no doubt whatsoever regarding him. Farah then rose and addressed the attendant. I accepted responsibility for this camel before my fellow fakirs and before the king. The king's students learn reading and writing in 4 years. So Sheikh Farah started to explain to the king, inform the attendants that student of the Holy Quran to memorize the Holy Quran, he should stay in the Khalwa for 4 years. And this camel too shall learn reading and writing in 4 years. Such were Sheikh Farah addressing the king and those in attendance. The attendant asked, and if it does not learn, Sheikh Farah? After consulting with the king, terms were agreed upon. The camel, its cattle enclosure, several sacks of dates, a number of servants were handed over to Farah. As he departed, many accompanied him with words of mockery and envy until he reached his village. Some days later, a group of fakirs visited him and asked whether he had been serious or merely joking. Farah replied, "Your father, by the honor of the messenger," and he recited these lines, "أنا البطحاني العارف باطن الزماني." I am the Bathani, I am al-Bathani, the knower of the inner working of time. Then he recited, and his recitation to this wisdom has run to the present day when he said, "These 4 years shall pass and destiny will run its course, whether upon the prince or upon the fakir or upon the camel. تمضي هذه السنوات الأربع وينفذ القدر إما في الأمير وإما في الفقير وإما في البعير." Indeed, events unfolded exactly as Sheikh Farah had anticipated. And the prophecy informed that the king died first. And about a year later, the camel also died, while the fakir survived unharmed. What a wisdom, what a wise man. However, from that day forward, people called him Farah ودتكتوك, حلال المشبوك. Thus, the audience, this is just an example and sample, which reflected, which indicated and revealed how Sheikh Farah is a wise man of Sudan, is a wise man of his own time, is a wise man that people needs today, addressing the problems, using his intellect, using his wisdom, using his mind, and using his inner purification. So many stories, many similar, identical examples of such samples that I have presented is there in the book of حلال المشبوك. So we will try to provide more wisdoms from this wise man. But before to wrap up, just here I would like to share key lessons that can be drawn from this story, حلال المشبوك. So wisdom is here, and wisdom is not magic. It is sound judgment. Sheikh Farah did not claim supernatural powers. He never comes to defy or to challenge the situation, thinking of providing miraculous event or acts. Rather, he quietly think of how to address the problem, taken from the running of the time, from destiny itself, from the fate. This reflects his strong inner belief. So instead, he approached an impossible situation with calm reasoning. He understood that time itself often resolves crisis. So when he accepted the challenge of teaching the camel to read and write in 4 years, he was not deceiving others. He was recognizing a practical truth. In 4 years, circumstances inevitably change. His famous logic was either the ruler will die, or the Faqir will die, or the camel will die. The lesson that we may draw from this story, many problems that appear impossible in the present time may be transformed by patience, changing conditions, and time. Another lesson that we may draw from the story, the presence of mind in times of crisis. While the other Fugara or Sufis fear or scared and blame one another, Farah remained composed. He neither scared the ruler nor rushed into despair. The lesson here, leadership often emerges through calm thinking under pressure. A wise person does not panic in difficult situations, but seeks strategic solution. Another lesson that we may draw from the story, courage in facing power. The story shows Farah standing before an unpredictable ruler and negotiating confidently. He neither openly challenged the king nor submitted blindly. Instead, he used intelligence, intellect, and wisdom. And finally, in a broader Sudanese cultural sense, the story portrays Sheikh Farah as a symbol of folk wisdom, a person who understood society, power, and human behavior deeply, and who taught that intelligence lies not in force, but in timing, foresight, and practical judgment. So I would like to draw your attention, the audience, that just I have shared one example of the numerous stories which reflect the intellect, the wisdom of Sheikh Farah ودتكتوك. I based on presenting this episode on the noted book of our prominent Sudanese researcher طيب محمد الطيب, notably his book الشيخ فرح ودتكتوك حلال المشبوك. Till seeing you in another episode presenting further الشيخ فرح wisdoms. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Allah.